This video is a Zoom recording I have with a father and son team from London who were building the Gen 15 boat in September. They asked many good questions, and I believe some of you may have similar questions too. Therefore, I post this video. I'm happy to have their permission to share the videos and also the photos of the boat they built. It's very beautiful. I have another video clip of this boat at the end of this video. One thing is not very clear to many people is the plans I give to you, even though you try to do it, follow exactly.
Yes.
But by the time you're done with it, there will always be off.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, the Coroplast itself, XY, I made my first mistake is they are not really exactly a rectangle.
Yes.
And when you buy a 10 feet long, it most likely it may be a 40 inches longer or sometimes shorter. Okay.
Yes.
And, if you look at some of my very early video, I think I call it workshop, which I talk about the mistake I made and how to do the measurement so that even though there's an ambiguity or the dimensions doesn't come out exactly the same, but when you look at the boat, it still looks good. So in a workshop, how do I start doing transfer the plan onto the Coroplast? I start with the center line, and then sometimes the center line may be right on the channel, which I don't like. I usually offset a little bit so it will be in the middle of the channel to start the center line. So what that will do is it will offset the left half of the center line may not be same as the right half. There's still a little bit deviation. So in general, think about it in that sense. So when you build a boat, don't pre-cut all the plastics.
Yes.
I want to do in your case, you want to do a chair or a seat. In my plan, the width is 27.5 inch. Let me pre-cut it. Because by the time you're done with it, it may not be 27, it may be 28.
Yes.
Today, I'm working on a boat. My target, just like my latest boat, the one that I use a pedal drive. My design goal was at 33 inches wide, but when I was done, it was 37. It was 3 inches more. That makes a huge difference. Okay, so think in terms of that. In my design, there's some other PVC cross beam. If my goal was supposed to be 28 inches wide, but it turned out maybe a little bit more. Okay, so think that kind of thinking is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to answer your question about on the drawing, I have 28 and a 7.75 and all the number. Look at it as a reference.
Yes.
Or the seat is 10 inches because the width of the seat really depends on what you want.
Yes, that's fine.
I'm a small person. My butt is so small, so 10 inches is more than I need. But there are people who prefer 12 or 14. Now, there's a reason, also another reason I picked 10 inches is because I want to make the boat smaller, lighter.
Yes.
And so there are a lot of things affecting here. So I just do a list. I will send you the PowerPoint afterwards, so you can have something to go and read in your spare time. And also now, the question is how high the seat need to be. It has to do with the way you build a boat. If you do the loop here in this style, your seat, you don't want to exceeding the seat and touching this side, right? But if you do the loop this way, then you can do a taller seat. And also,
I say yes.
Okay, and also let's say if you do a loop this way, you can do a taller seat. But then there's another problem, yes. When you're sitting taller, the boat will not be as stable.
That's why I thought I need to be low. I mean, in the Gen 14, you're on the ground, so I was worried that this would be less balanced.
Now, on the other hand, I don't want it to be too low because I use the seat to be a structural element. So I wanted to bump against the wall. So I would say because the water line is probably not more than 4 inches. So if your seat is above the water line, you will provide sufficient structural integrity pushing against the walls. Further higher is fine. So that is my thinking. Okay. Now, if I do a 4 inches, in my case I did 6 inches. 4 to 6 inches would be pretty good because, if you find the boat is pretty stable and also because you are taller, you want to sit higher, what can I do? It is very easy. Just get some padding. You really want to put some padding on the seat anyway, because the first time I rode a boat for 2.5 hours, sitting on that plastic Coroplast, my rear end hurts. It was really hurt. Okay, it wasn't a joke. And so it was I really didn't have experience doing any kayaking for that long. So end up, if you do a 4 inches, you can put some foam packing. I mean the soft one. I use the packaging material. I like recycling. So you can also always use bungee cord to tie onto your seat to raise it 2 inches, 4 inches more. Those are very easy to do. Okay. So
thank you.
So that's why, to answer your question, I usually don't put those numbers down because I think people have different preferences.
That's good.
I cannot really guess why, how they want to do it.
The height, I was just worried about hitting the area where the gunnels go. So I wouldn't go above 7. I was working out. Yeah. Because I wanted to do it like you have it on the right with to have the gunnel in the edge, not above it.
And then because you are not going to sit close to the gunnel, so you can put a padding right here, right? And clear the gunnel. So I would do 6 inches because, hey, it is a number that I can always increase. Because it's difficult to decrease.
Yes.
Right, to reduce the height. Okay, so I hope I answer your question here.
Can I just say one thing? That the seat box is hollow at the end, so I actually.
What's inside the seat? I didn't talk about what's inside the seat. I use the packaging material. Also, depends on what I have in shipment from when I buy stuff. I save all those foam, and I just chop it into pieces. I just slide in. Let me share another screen.
So the seat is pre-made. You don't fold it up each time when you arrive.
I use a piece of Coroplast, fold it into a box. Okay. You can see my sharing, right?
Yes, that's good.
Then I actually turn out I have some packaging material which is basically a block of foam.
I've got a lot of that. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just trim it to the right size. I don't fill up the space because I am still concerned about the weight. Having foam is good because there's another element to provide flotation if you need any flotation, right? So I just space those blocks, and then where my rear end just sit here, right? Yeah. Then very seldom I put it over here. Just because I want to minimize the weight. But if weight is not your concern, then may as well just fill up the whole plastic box. Now I just fold this a sheet of Coroplast, and there are different ways of doing it. You can use bungee cord, just tie it, or you can just use tape. Duct tape to tape it.
Yeah.
Nowadays I use fusion because it saves me money. I fuse it. It's strong. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That works. Can I answer your question?
Yes, that's good.
Okay. Let's go back to the PowerPoint here.
Just there was a question you didn't understand in my original part, and it was about the edges, and it's related to that. I took the seat, the floor, I went up 7 inches on each side so that it will effectively cap onto the ends of that seat box that I make. Whereas in your one, you had a tiny lip I saw from the video, and that's what my odd question was you look like about 2 inches. I've actually done it 7. So the floor bit, the floor strengthening goes up the sides 7 inches, and then that will be about the same as the box seat that you put between them.
So I couldn't follow your.
Sorry,
So from
I've
here,
overcome.
you can see it. From here to here you do 7. From
Yes,
here to here is now. From
whatever
here,
it is. Yeah.
whatever it is, it's by the time you fold up the boat,
Yes.
and then you measure how much it is.
Yes, that's
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, and
I'm
and,
good.
and then now, including the piece on the top. Oh, one other thing I have to talk about in my video, it is getting into a little bit engineering. Is I talk about interlocking design of the boat, because I do a shape where everything locked together. I do a certain way. Yeah, this is the thinking. This was the design process, and it actually works well on land. As I demonstrate, I can lift it up, I can rotate it, and the boat was solid because they are kind of locked together. But when you put it in the water, things change so much, because there are all kinds of force applying to the hull of the boat. It may twist, it may flow up and down. So what the result is, by the end of the day, when the boat is in the water, that interlocking, the way I do it doesn't make sense anymore. Things doesn't interlock as well as I would like to. And now, but it can still maintain the interlocking kind of feature I designed in day one, if I put more lashings. I will show you a video later. Okay, I will hold off that. But think about it. I designed with interlocking features. When I put in the water, it doesn't seem to be interlocking anymore. But the boat is okay because it will not fall apart. It will still behave the way it was. It is. So I feel happy. So the reason I didn't try to force it into the interlocking is because it works, and it saves time. But how do the manufacturers doing that? They put a lot of lashings. So I will show you the video later what the manufacturers doing with their boats later. Okay.
Okay.
That piece I'll answer in a moment. Now go back to here. You talk about the how big, how long that piece need to be.
Yeah.
Okay. You are talking about it would be nice if whatever I do, I can provide reference numbers how big the sheet is.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I explained to you. I thought a little bit about it, but then I'll explain to you what that's supposed to be. Now assume that this is the Coroplast.
Yeah.
And then I apply a blue sheet on top, doing it this way. This is what I suggest people doing it. Okay.
Yes.
Now, let's work out how long this piece need to be. Okay. Now, this is the side of the boat. I do this piece, and this plastic pipe. Now, question to you, or other designers, what is the diameter you are going to use? 3/4, 1 inch, 1.5, or half? Or what do you use?
I bought the 3/4 inch, but
Okay.
that's the internal, isn't it? The outside is bigger.
It doesn't matter. Okay. I just take a number. All right.
Yeah.
Now let's say you in my example here I do 1 inch. It turned out I picked 1 inch last night. So that means the circumference of this one is about 4 inches from here to here. All right. Then the next thing I look at is how high is this wall here? Let's say 10 inches. I don't know what I have on the plan, maybe 9, I don't remember. But
yes, it was 10. That's it.
Okay, as example here I do a 10. Now the other question is, this is the floor. Okay.
Yeah.
How high is this piece of the floor? I don't know.
7 for me.
Okay. Now in your case it's 7, but some people may have 5 because when I do the boat, I very often try to save material. I look at what I have.
Yeah.
right? Sometimes some people may end up using 5 inches. That means this piece has to be longer, right? So now, let's say if I draw a line here, and then I work out from here to here. Now, here's 5 inches, here 10 inches. 10 inches minus 5 inches. From here to here is 5 inches. The diameter is 1 inches. So from here to here is 4 inches. Okay?
Yep.
Then I talk about overlapping is how many inches? 3 inches. Now, suddenly I have some number here. I have 3 inches here, 4 inches here, 7 inches, plus the circumference, which is 4 inches, 8 inches, 11 inches. Okay?
Yeah. I see.
11 inches. Now, if I do a zip tie here, using zip tie, and then from here to here is how many inches, then it is half difficult for me to judge, because are you going to do a vertical zip tie or doing horizontal zip tie? Because if you do a vertical zip tie, this tail need to be longer, because I don't want the second edge to be too the zip tie to be too close to the edge here. I want to allow 1 inch, right? If you do a horizontal, probably this I can just make the length here. So I don't know. So when you add all this number, you come up with the length.
Yes.
But you understand, if I do something, write something down, it's difficult because there are many unknowns.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
how tall it is.
I did that. Yeah. I did a guess and got to about 11 inches
Now,
based on going round. But does it go down with the grain? That's what, with the channels.
I will show you the picture in a moment. So
Thank
my suggestion is, after you finish doing the side of the boat, everything, because even though you are talking about 10, when you are done, it may be 10 and a half or something longer. The easiest thing is get a sheet of paper, just wrap around it and do a measurement.
Yeah, good.
Right? Rather than
Okay.
do calculation, just do a mock-up.
Yeah, good.
Then you are done. So that's why it's difficult for me to provide any number, because there are many unknown. What the diameter? For me now, they are using only ½ inch because it's strong enough for me, and it make the boat lighter too. Okay. Now,
Okay.
to answer your question, whether the grain, it really doesn't matter much. Now, I still using this example. You may want to just put it. You may do it on the other example. I have to look below this line. Okay.
Yes.
Just example. So, because the force pull in this example is up and sideways, so when you pull up, I prefer to do a vertical zip tie, because when you pull up, the force, let's see if I have that or not. Give me a second, I need to scroll around and find what. Oh, here. Okay. When the force pull in this direction, let's say in this case it pull in this direction, I rather want this edge to be wider, because if I have the edge, now this is a vertical, okay, the pulling force is this way. If my edge is here, which will more likely to tear the Coroplast, because it's thin, right? So it is if I do it this way, I rather to have a thicker edge here, so it will less likely tear my Coroplast. So it go back to my example here. That's why in this case I will do a vertical. But can I do a horizontal? Yeah, it will work too. Not until you tears it, then. But because I haven't built this boat using zip tie, therefore I only do the best engineering guess about, or physical guesses about what would be the best. But some people say, hey, I do a horizontal, it works. Yeah, it will work too. Really depends on how much force it has to handle, right? And also spacing. Now, I have never built this boat using this method, but I proposed this method, and a lady actually built 2 boats using this method.
I saw the picture. Thank you. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very encouraging.
Yeah, and she told me, Hon, you don't need to create. In my design, I pre-make the let's say if. Oh here, yeah, I forgotten the picture earlier. Now, I preform the shape because my Coroplast is thick, 6 millimeter, and then my friend told me actually another viewer on YouTube, she mentioned to me, Hon, I don't even need to do the loop because the 4 millimeter is very forgiving, very soft. So I don't have to preform the shape, just because I haven't tried to use 4 millimeter Coroplast to do this shape. Therefore, I cannot recommend people what is the best way to do it. Okay, so now I would suggest about 6 inches spacing because I want to even out the pulling to spread out the force so as not to tear the Coroplast. But can I do 8 inches? Probably it will work too. So there's no magic number. All right. Now the directional because I have to form a loop, a circle. If I do a vertical channel here, it will be very difficult to create that loop. Therefore, I would suggest when you do a loop here, you do with the channel going in this direction.
That's what I thought, because it just wants to curve that way, doesn't it? The Coroplast.
Yeah, going the other way, it will be a lot of headache to try to make it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say what other questions you have. Okay. Go back to this one. Actually, you're doing good job, really good job. It normally is like this. It always spreading out.
Okay.
So what you would do is, I will give you, I will share a video.
When I first assemble the boat, it usually will not be in the shape I want it to. In this case, I designed the width to be at 32 inches. When I first put it together, it was at 37. Then I used lashing to force into the width I wanted to. Then I let the boat sit for a day, and the Coroplast will give, and you can force into the shape you want it to much easier. If you take a look at the products in the market, those lashings are meant to maintain the shape of the boat. And even though you don't have the lashing, the boat will still works, but it may not look as nice. I don't put a lot of lashings on my boat just because it takes time to assemble the boat, and also it costs money. The boat will still works even though I don't have those lashings to trying to confine the shape of the boat.
In your case, you just use lashing, pull it in, but at the current stage of your boat, it really doesn't matter whether you do the lashing today, because after you put the gunwale, everything, then you really want to do it. And another thing is, when you forward into a smaller size for transportation, you have to do the same. It's very difficult to forward the first 2-3 times, but when you first got to fold it into a smaller size, just keep it there for a day.
Yes, then, actually, my son did it on his own. So we did the 5 bars when you showed me, and then he just brought it in folded. Your 5-fold structure worked really well, and he was able to do it on his own.
Oh, okay. So you keep it into that shape, and next time it will go back to the shape easily. So it is the property of it. Then let's say, are there other things I need to talk about? Let me tell you.
I think you answered them mostly there. I only had one side question, very small. I know you don't have time. you mentioned in the plans you had a second line you called the trim line. It said optional, and you said it makes the tracking better, but I didn't quite understand in the Gen 15 plan. I thought I could do that after I've got it finished. Does it make it fold better, or it makes it better in the water? You've got you have a line, and then you have an inner line, a different color, and it's as if it's to make it adjust.
So I try to remember the plan. Okay, in the center. Okay, in the center. Sometimes I do another full line here.
That's yes.
Yeah, something like this. So what that means is the cross section of the boat may just be like that with the first full line. Okay, let's say this is this. So if you apply this full line, then the shape of the boat will be somewhat like this. One step like this, one step like this. Okay, there will be a very subtle stepping. So you see the looping of the boat. Okay.
Yes.
In this in the water will flow in this angle.
Yes.
So because it will bite into the water, then the water level will be right here. It will bite into the water a little bit deeper here in the front. That will create better tracking for the boat.
Now I have the plan here. I'll give a little bit more detailed explanation to Tom's question. I talk about the effect of the bow, this particular additional line, but this line actually extends to the side here. The initial plan with a sharp right angle, but by adding those two lines here, that means there are two chines being created, which will help to keep the boat go in a straight line. This modification helps with the tracking of the boat.
Okay. And you mentioned having a possible end cap, because the front can obviously hold water in the fold. In one of your designs, you had like a cap over there. Reduces the friction a lot?
I
mean, water resistance. I mean,
it's hard for me to quantify how good it is without it. It just based on physics. It should be better, but by how much? I just couldn't.
Yeah,
I don't have an easy way to quantify it.
It's worth doing, though. It makes a difference.
Yeah, it's worth doing it. Yeah.
Okay. That's it. The very last question I said is in the 14 plan you have lots of taping everywhere, or rather maybe that was Nathaniel's thing. Lots of taping. I have the white tape for the outside, but in the inside I've got lots of black Gorilla Tape. Is that what you do just to make the folds stay strong for several years of folding?
Oh no, I don't do. Let me go back to the whiteboard here.
I can see that some points have a lot of stress, and I thought they might wear out very quickly.
So I only, let's say in a bowl this way, okay? I only put Gorilla Tape here. Okay.
That's good. Yeah.
Because where the angle, all the other edges, you don't need to. But in folding it, you are doing a rectangular fold, right? So
yes.
The good thing about rectangular fold, the only places you really do taping is here. But for some other boat like ORU kind of boat, when they fold it, I have a picture here too. Yeah, I'm actually building my Gen 19. I will test it tomorrow. Oh, okay. Okay, here, this is fold into the same size of the ORU inlet. I don't know if you know that boat. That kind of folding. Now, this is the angle. I always patch it up with a Gorilla Tape in addition to the bow and stern. So end up I have 4 other corners that I have to patch up with tapes. Follow me?
Yes.
So,
Is that the white tape, the expensive outside white tape, or just the regular Gorilla Black?
It's up to you. You can use black, but because it is white, now they
Yeah.
are using the white Gorilla tape. It costs the same.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have to get that. Yeah, I didn't know
Yeah.
about that one.
It costs the same. I just patch up the corner. You don't need to patch all these edges. It is too expensive. And
Yeah.
no need to, because in your case you really don't have this angle. That's why the rectangular fold is the one I like. You have minimized a lot of sharp angles.
Yes.
But I want to optimize the size here. That's why in this one I go back to it is a special design. I will share that 19.
Yeah.
It's a fun book.
Thank you very much for your time. I can see it's impressive how much you built in 2 or 3 years. All these different models of pontoon
Yeah.
boats. And
I need to
Thank you.
get something to keep me busy. Yeah. So feel free to let me know if you have other questions.
Thanks to Tom and his son for sharing the videos and photos. And they're getting ready to build the next boat. If you find this video interesting, please give me a like. Tell your friends about these videos too. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Thank you. See you again. Bye.